stability. The milkman, the paper boy, evening TV. Did I get delivered here? Somebody tell me, please. This whole world confusing me. Clouds as mean as you've ever seen. Ain't a bird who knows you're true. Then a little voice inside you whispers, don't sell your dreams so soon. Everywhere you look, there's a heart, a hand to hold on to. Everywhere you look, there's a face of somebody who needs you. Everywhere you look, when you're lost out there and you're all alone, life is waiting to carry you home. Everywhere you look, and everywhere you
Alrighty, you guys, we're almost through topic 1. We are on lesson 1-6. Our learning intention is that we will be able to divide mixed numbers. And so far we've helped you, we prepared you for all the steps leading up to this. So Miss Flemington, what should we do?
So you are going to be successful at the end of topic 1-6. You will be able to divide mixed numbers using the algorithm. Again, right, using that keep, change, flip kind of go-to, and then also estimating the quotient of mixed numbers. Estimating, right, the quotient, right, means division of mixed numbers. So estimating, knowing what is your closest whole number and what is an average, what's a reasonable answer once you have solved.
Here we go. All right, you guys, so topic 1-6, our essential question, how will we divide with mixed numbers? So in our academic vocabulary, we've already seen these two terms of algorithm and reasonableness. We're not going to go over what's underneath on the left-hand side just because we've done that in the past 2 lessons. So we are just, that's for you guys to reference if you need help, okay? Or you could go back and you can always watch our videos as well. All right, so we're gonna maybe refer to that as we're solving these examples. So let's look at example number 1 and get straight into it. Kayla drives her new car to work every day and it uses 1 3/5 gallons of gas for each round trip. How many round trips to work can Kayla drive on a full tank of gas? Okay. So let's look at this. It tells us that a full tank of gas that her car can hold is 16 gallons. Okay, so we want to see how many times we can put 1 3/5 into 16. All right, that's what we're looking for. So we're going to estimate using compatible numbers, right? What Miss Flemington kind of just talked to you about. We want to estimate, we want to round to what within that ones, right, of the number. So when we look at compatible numbers, we can keep our 16 the same, or we can round it, okay, or estimate. So let's
when you see 16, right, do we need to really find a compatible number? No, because it already gives you a whole number, right? So you have that 16 that will stay the same. And then 1 3/5, when you look at that, you want to think of what is the largest whole number that 1 3/5 is closest to, right? So kind of look at this as we have 1 whole and then we have 3/5. So 3/5 is almost full, right? Because 3 out of 5, our part to total, is almost full to 5. So I would probably round that number to its compatible number being 2, right? So if you want to look at this as an entirety, right, 16 divided by 2 is 8. So we know that a reasonable answer for this specific question, division question, would be 8. So when we solve 16 divided by 1 3/5, we'll know if our answer is reasonable and correct, if it is very close to it.
All right, so let's move on to step number 2 after we found our compatible numbers, and we're going to turn our mixed number into an improper fraction. So we're going to turn that 1 3/5 into an improper fraction. We know how to do this by multiplying our denominator by our whole number, so 5 by 1, and adding it to our numerator 3, which will then give us 8 over 5. We keep our whole number always over 1. So we will have 16 over 1 divided by 8/5. Let's use what we know, keep, change, flip, to help us now solve. So we're going to keep our first fraction, 16 over 1. We're going to change our operation of division to multiplication. And then we're going to flip our 8/5 into its reciprocal of 5 over 8. Now we could just multiply straight across. So 16 multiplied by 5, that gives us 80. And then 1 times 8 is 8. So now if we divide or turn our improper fraction back into a mixed number, we know that 8 goes into 80 and evenly 10 times. Now if we estimate our reasonable answer from step 1, 8, is that close to 10? Can we round 8 to 10? Well, we can. We would be able to. It's pretty close to 10. So yes, this is a reasonable answer. So what we know is that Kayla can take 10 round trips to work on a full tank of gas. Perfect. Let's look at example number 2. No worries. All right, so example number 2. Lillian hikes a 15 and 5/6 hiking train in 4 hours. She hikes the same number of miles per hour. How many miles did Lillian hike each hour? Okay, so we're trying to figure out how many miles did she hike each hour. So we're going to estimate using compatible numbers. Our equation is going to be 15 and 5/6 divided by 4. So let's estimate 15 and 5/6. We know that when we estimate or round, that could be close to about 16. And then 4 is a whole number. It's not a mixed number, so we're just going to keep it the whole number 4. So now we have 16 divided by 4. We know that that is 4. So now when we check our final answer, it will be reasonable if it's close to 4. Okay, so let's move into step number 2. Now let's turn 15 and 5/6 into an improper fraction by multiplying our denominator by our whole number. 15 times 6 is 80 plus 5, which is 85 over 6. Oops, I'm sorry, 95 over 6, not 85 over 6.
Can I do that part again?
Yeah. So we're going to multiply 6 times 15, our denominator, by our whole number. Well, that's 90 plus 5, which will give us 95 over 6. Now that we have all of our fractions, we have 4 over 1, since that's a whole number. We can keep, change, and flip. So we'll change our operation of division to multiplication, and we'll flip our fraction of 4 over 1 to 1/4. We'll multiply straight across. So 95 times 1 is 95, and 6 times 4 is 24. So 24 goes into 95. Let's change that into a mixed number, back into a mixed number. So 24, how many times does 24 go into 95? Well, we know that 20 times 3 is about 60, right? So let's do 24 times 3 to see if that gives us close to 95. When we do 24 into 95, we know that 24 can go into 95 3 times, which will give us 72. That will give us, when we find the difference of 23, so we'll have 23 over 24, right? So 3 and 23 over 24. That is how many miles she took each hour. Now, if we were to estimate 3 and 23 24ths, we can say that that's pretty close to 4, right? Within that ones value. So this is reasonable. Let's go into our try it's. We're going to look at our first quadrant, and we'll look at letter A. 20 divided by 2/3. So let's here keep our, do our keep change flip. So let's put that whole number 20 over 1.
It's not letting me. Okay.
So now we could oh, and then let's change our improper, or sorry, let's do that again. So we'll put our whole number 20 over 1, and then we'll change our mixed number into an improper fraction. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. We keep our denominator the same. So now we have 8/3. Now we can keep change and flip. So let's keep 20 over 1 the same. We'll change our operation from division to multiplication. And then we'll flip 8 over 3 to 3 over 8. It's reciprocal. And now we can multiply straight across. 20 times 3 is 60. 8 times 1 is 8. We can change this back into a mixed number. 8 goes into 60. How many times? We're going to have 8 goes into 60 6 times, 6 groups of 8 with 56 with 4 left over. So 6 and 4/8, but let's simplify that because we're not finished. So we have 6 1/2. Perfect. Let's move on to letter B. So the first thing that I can immediately see is that we're going to do our same 2 steps. We're going to throw a 1 underneath that 6, and we're going to change that mixed number into an improper fraction like Miss Flemington's doing already. So after we kind of go around, right, and do our multiplication and our adding, we have 25 over 2 divided by 6 over 1. Now we can do our keep change flip. So we'll keep 25 over 2. We'll change our operation from division to multiplication. And then we'll flip our 6 over 1 to 1/6. So let's multiply straight across. We have 25 over 12. This might be a little bit more simple to simplify because 12 can go into 25 2 times since we get 24 with 1 left over. So we'll have 2 whole times, right? And then 1 over 12 is our leftover portion. Perfect.